Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Before I start today's Dhamma sermon, Dhamma discussion, first, very quickly, I'll recap what we have discussed so far last week. Now, last week, I explained the Cuta Sutra. In Cuta Sutra, Lord Buddha has explained clearly and precisely as to where people go after their death. Firstly, he said people who attain the fourth level of enlightenment, they go to the Nibbana, or as some people say, Nirvana. Then those who attain the third level of enlightenment, Anagami, they go to a good place in Brahmaloka. There are 4 good Brahmalokas called Suddhavasa. They will go to a good Brahmaloka and they will never come back to the human world again. Sooner or later, they will complete their Arahathood and they too will go to Nibbana. And the third group is those who attain Sotapanna or Sakuddagami. That's the 4th level of enlightenment and the 3rd level of enlightenment. They will go to a good Dvedhavitakka. There are 2 good Dvedhavitakas and 4 bad Dvedhavitakas. They will go to a good Dvedhavitakka, and from there, very rarely it's possible that they could come back to the human world to perform a certain duty or certain service and go back to where they came from. And from that Dvedhavitakka, they will become Anagami and they will go to a good Brahmaloka, Suddhavasa Brahmaloka, and from there they will become Arahat and go to Nibbana, the best place, as Lord Buddha explained. Then the next category is people who have been in the Sotapanna path, but not being able to become Sotapanna for some reason or the other before their death. And those people, if they get a wholesome thought into their final thought, what we call Chutta Sitta, then they will have a chance of coming back to the human world again, where they will get a better opportunity to become Sotapanna. On the other hand, if they get an unwholesome thought as their final thought, which is called Chutta Sitta, then they too will go to one of the 4 hells. Then we have 2 other categories, those who go to the bad Brahmaloka and bad Dvedhavitakka. People who practice wrong meditation techniques and make their mind go blank, they will go to those 16 bad Brahmalokas, where they will stay there like statues. They will get no sanya coming into their mind. They will have no thoughts coming into their mind. They'll be sitting there like statues. In fact, they have no body. They only have the mind, and mind too will not work because they won't have sanya coming in. They have become what Lord Buddha called Asanya. They are called Asanya Tala. So basically, sanya means the messages that you get, the signs that you get through your nose, eyes, ears, tongue, and so on. And they will not get them. So they will just stay there like statues. In fact, they don't have a body. They only have a mind. And that mind will stay there in Brahmaloka for a long, long time until their merits run out. But there is no suffering there. But it is not the end of suffering. What happens is once their merits run out, then they'll be left with sins. And in order to pay for sins, they will fall into one of the 4 hells, where they will have to restart again from the beginning. Then those who go to bad Dvedhavitakka, those are the people who engage in a lot of meritorious deeds. Doing meritorious deeds is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Lord Buddha said every time when you engage yourself in a meritorious deed like dana, sila, bhavana. Those merits that you accumulate, transfer them to all the living beings living on the 31 planes, and wish nibbana for all those living beings as well as yourself. That is the correct way to use merits that you earn by engaging in meritorious deeds. But if you ask for laukika sapa, that means material things, comfortable life, nice houses, nice cars, and so on, you will get them either in this world or the next world. And if you are taking merits to the next world, then you will be born in one of those bad divyalokas, which are like nightclubs. You will have all the comforts that you need. You will have palaces, you will have vehicles, whatever you want to travel in, and you will have enough dancing, drinking, eating, whatnot, all the comforts. But you will enjoy them for a short period until your merits run out. And once the merits are over, you'll be left with sins, and then you will fall into one of the four hells again to pay for the sins. And you'll have to start all over again, spending several eons, several kappas that cannot be described in numbers. It's a very, very long period. If one goes to one of the four hells, they'll be circulating between the four hells for a long time, going from one to the other for a very, very long time before they get a chance to come back to the human world again. Because in the four hells, they have no developed mind to understand Dhamma. They don't know Dhamma. There's no Dhamma. And they cannot practice Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. That is loving kindness, equanimity, and sympathetic joy, as they say in English. And they'll be practicing Raga, Dvesha, Moha all the time. That is attachment, anger, and ignorance. And accumulating unwholesome qualities and sins. And they'll be dying and reborn in the same place or one of the four hells to pay for those sins. And that will continue for a very, very long time. So the rest of the people who have done nothing, who haven't practiced any religion at all, neither Buddha, Dhamma, nor religion, and unfortunately, by the time they die, and they would have accumulated a huge number of sins and very large quantity of unwholesome qualities, and they will have no place to go to other than one of the four hells. So that's what we discussed last week. And if anyone has any questions, they can question me during the question time. Now let's go to today's discussion, how we practice the Sotapanna path. Now we learned the theory earlier. Now we are going to learn how to do it in practice for lay people who are living busy lives. Now to start with, remember that Lord Buddha said, there are four things one has to do in order to become Sotapanna. Can someone tell me what those four things are? I want all of you to join the discussion today. Now, most of the people here have followed the first series, and one of those people can tell me, please, what those four things that you have to do in order to become Sotapanna. Lord Buddha first said that in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, then he repeated that in many, many sutras, including Satipatthana Sutra and the Sotapanna Sutra. Now, can someone tell me what those four things are? Please.
Bhante.
Now, Buddha Pankaj.
So, Lord Buddha said that we have to find a kalyan mitra.
Yes.
We have to understand.
Can you describe what a kalyan mitra is?
A kalyan mitra is a person who has a knowledge and experience of Dhamma and can guide can guide the person on a path to liberation.
Good, to become Sotapanna. Okay, fine. What's the second step?
Saddharma Sevana. So
Right.
whatever the Dhamma, the Kalyan Mitra has understood to learn from the Kalyan Mitra.
Yeah, you see the Saddam that the Kalyana Mitra will be delivering, you listen to them. Saddam Sevana. Sravana means listening. So you listen to them, second step. Okay. What's the third one?
Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada.
No, the third one, that's the fourth one. What's
Right.
the third one?
Whatever the Dhamma, the Kalyan Mitra is teaching, go over it again and again and practice it again and again.
Right. Go through it over and over again, analyze it using your intelligence and wisdom, and try and comprehend it and get a vision of it. Okay. What's the fourth one?
Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada.
Right. Can you describe Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada?
Bhante, I'm sorry. You have to help me in doing that.
Right. The Dhammanu Dhamma Patipada is Lord Buddha explained that as Sabba Papasa Akaranang Kusalasa Upasampada. Sabba Papasa Akaranang means eradicate all the unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome qualities, and unwholesome deeds that you have in your mind. Now, unwholesome qualities we have accumulated throughout our samsara. In addition to that, we are practicing unwholesome thoughts and we engage in unwholesome deeds and further strengthens our unwholesome qualities. So that is the process that we have to stop, right? So there are two main things that two main things that Lord Buddha have explained how to do that. We will discuss it in more. We did discuss that in more detail. We will discuss it here also. Now, when we say unwholesome thoughts, so Lord Buddha firstly has explained how to eradicate unwholesome thoughts coming into our mind. And that explanation he has given in the Dvedhavitakka Sutra. He said, watch our mind and remember, keep an eye on the thoughts that are coming to our mind and assess these thoughts to see whether they are wholesome thoughts or unwholesome thoughts. If they are unwholesome thoughts, eradicate them. If they are wholesome thoughts, take them into your mind and cultivate them, practice them, think about them, right? So that's practicing wholesome thoughts. Then when you think about it, when you practice it, when you cultivate it, what happens is your wholesome qualities, your maitri, karuna, mudita, upeka, qualities will improve. And those qualities give the strength, give the energy to produce the wisdom, the special knowledge, special power that you need to comprehend Dhamma. That's one side. We are talking of unwholesome qualities. Sorry, I mixed up unwholesome qualities and unwholesome thoughts. So we are talking of unwholesome thoughts here. Let me start from the beginning. Sabba papasa karana. Remove unwholesome thoughts. So the unwholesome thoughts, raga, dvesha, moha thoughts coming to our mind, remove them, eradicate them immediately so that they will not convert our action into unwholesome actions and then earn us more sins, and also from the other hand, strengthen our unwholesome qualities, the raga, dvesha, moha qualities that we have accumulated throughout our samsara, and we have deposited it and carry it on with us in our Vitakkasanthana from one life to the other. So firstly, we will stop our thoughts strengthening the unwholesome qualities that we have accumulated already by controlling our thoughts. Secondly, there are 4 meditation techniques that Lord Buddha has given in Satipatthana Sutra. That's Mettanusati, Marananusati, Asubhanusati, Buddhanusati. None of these meditation techniques involve breathing. We will discuss those meditation techniques later. So by practicing those meditation techniques, you will be able to gradually eradicate, remove the unwholesome qualities, raga quality, dvesha quality, moha quality that you have accumulated throughout your samsara. So that is sabbapapassakarana, stopping unwholesome thoughts coming into your mind. So that way, it will not convert those thoughts into unwholesome action, and it will not strengthen the unwholesome qualities that we have accumulated already. And on the other hand, kusalasa upasampada. Kusal means wholesome thoughts. Develop wholesome thoughts. Kusal means wholesome action, wholesome thoughts, wholesome qualities. So, kusalasa upasampada means, firstly, you develop wholesome thoughts in your mind all the time. Try to do that all the time. And when you develop wholesome thoughts, it will convert them into wholesome action. Wholesome action, on one hand, will earn you merits that are necessary for you to live a reasonable life in order to follow this path, in order to receive the basic necessities that you need to live, and in order to meet the kalyana mitra, in order to listen to Sirisat Dharma Shravana, in order to have your health, physical health and mental health, to follow this path, you need merits, and you earn merits by engaging in wholesome deeds, wholesome activities, or meritorious deeds. Then when you do that, firstly, you accumulate merits from one side, and from the other side, you keep strengthening the wholesome qualities that you have already developed and accumulated in your chitta santhana. So as and when you develop your wholesome qualities, your wisdom will improve. And wisdom is the energy, the power that is necessary for you to comprehend Dhamma. So that is Dhammanudhamma Patipada. So put it in very simple terms, all we are doing in Dhammanudhamma Patipada is try and stop unwholesome thoughts coming into our mind. Firstly, at this stage, we are not going to go into serious meditation techniques. The 4 meditation techniques that Lord Buddha has explained, that we will practice seriously, which will help us to eradicate the unwholesome qualities that we have already accumulated in our chitta santhana, that we will seriously start doing after becoming Sotapanna. At Sotapanna stage, if we can learn to practice, stop developing unwholesome thoughts in our mind. And because when we have unwholesome thoughts, from one side we are accumulating sins, and from one side we are strengthening the unwholesome qualities that we have already. So stop that process gradually. That's what we are going to learn as far as meditation is concerned, to become Sotapanna. And once you have become Sotapanna, then we go into the 4 meditation techniques that Lord Buddha has explained in Satipatthana Sutra. So that's one side. So that's what we are going to practice as Dhammanudhamma Patipada. So now the other important point to remember is that Lord Buddha said, if anyone practices this path correctly, now a person who gets the opportunity to have kalyana mitra sevana and sirita saddharma shravana, that means that person has completed paramita to become Sotapanna in this life. He has enough merits and enough wholesome qualities to become Sotapanna, provided he follows the path correctly. So anyone who has come this far, having Kalyana Mitra and having done Sirisad Dharma Shravana, then he has to do Yoniso Manasikara and Dhamma Patipada. So people, Lord Buddha said, those who have come that far and following the path correctly, in Mahasatra Satipatthana Sutra, he has given time durations for those people to become Sotapanna or go all the way up to Arahathood. Now, for this purpose, he has categorized these people into 4 categories: Utkatitanna, Vipatitanna, Neya, Padaparama. Utkatitanna people are the people who have the highest level of wisdom. They have a great deal of accumulated wholesome qualities and accumulated merits. So their level of wisdom is very high. People like Sariputta, Moggallana, Sopaka, Sunita, those people, within 1 hour of listening to Dhamma, they became Sotapanna. So Lord Buddha said those people will become Sotapanna, at least Sotapanna, within a maximum of 7 days. So generally speaking, about 1% of the people who are following the path fall into this category. 1% of the people can become Sotapanna within 7 days of listening to Dhamma. Then if you take the last category, Padaparama, only about 1% of the people fall into that category, and they could take up to 7 years. Even they can become Sotapanna within 7 years, a maximum, and they are the people who have the lowest level of wisdom, and only about 1% fall into that lowest category also. And 98% of the people fall into the second category and the third category. Second category takes up to 7 weeks, and the third category takes up to 7 months. So within 7 months, 99% of the people who follow the path will become Sotapanna. Let me repeat that again. Now, 1% falls into the top category, Neya. Then 98% fall into the second category and the third category, because only 1% fall into the last category. So 99% of the people who are following the path correctly will become at least Sotapanna within 7 months. So that's a great encouragement to all the people that Lord Buddha has given. He has given a guarantee that if you follow the path correctly, within maximum of 7 months, 99% of the people who follow the path correctly will become Sotapanna within 7 months, maximum of 7 months. When you say 7 months, it could be within 7 days, it could be within 7 weeks, or it could be within 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months. Maximum of 7 months. 99% of all of you who are listening to this Dhamma can become Sotapanna within 7 months. So just think about it. If you follow the path correctly, it's not me who is saying it. It's Lord Buddha who said it in Mahasatra Satipatthana Sutra. You can look it up if you don't believe me. It's there. So all of you, 99% of you can become Sotapanna within 7 months. So make the effort and you will get the reward. And rewards are huge. So it's important to understand that. You can do it. And the next point is, also remember, Lord Buddha said, life is like a drop of rainwater hanging at the tip of a leaf, waiting to fall onto the ground anytime. So we are all those drops of leaves. We never know drops of water hanging at the tips of those leaves. We never know when we are going to fall onto the ground. Always remember, so don't postpone this. This is a great opportunity you have got, maybe for the first time in your samsara. It's possible that you had the opportunity before and you missed it, but in most cases, this will be the first opportunity. Even if it is not the second opportunity, second or the third or whatever, if you miss this opportunity, then again, I'm afraid you will have to start all over again from the four hells, and it could take another several couples. That means trillions trillions of years before you get another opportunity. So don't miss this opportunity. You can do it. All you have to do is make the effort. It's not rocket science. Lord Buddha's Dhamma is very simple, straightforward, and easy to understand. Young children like Rahula, Visakha, then young men like Sopaka, Sunita, who had never been to school. They were under 16. In fact, they were children as well. They were capable of understanding this Dhamma and becoming Sotapanna. I'm sure you all can. All you have to do is make the effort. Now, how do we make this effort? This is the multi-million-dollar question now. I think for lay people who now it could work in different ways to different people, but this the system that the method that I'm explaining to you, the path that I'm explaining to you, will be practical for everyone. You have to reserve a minimum of 2 hours a day for this, no matter what. Just think about it, 2 hours a day is less than 9% of your 24 hours a day. You have 24 hours a day, and I'm asking you to just reserve 9% of that time, no matter what. Whether you are home or you have to go to work or you have to go somewhere else, that 2 hours must be reserved for this and used for this purpose. That's very, very important. If you think, oh, today is Saturday, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl, or tomorrow, today is Saturday, I'm going to go to a birthday party. No matter what, you must do that. The best way to do it is you do it early in the morning, because early in the morning, you don't watch Super Bowl, or you don't go to watch cricket, or you don't go to birthday parties. See, early in the morning, everyone is free. Best time, I would say, is 4 to 6, but it's too early for most people. If you can do it 5 to 7, 2 hours, no matter what, you can do that. Keep that 2 hours, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. for this purpose, practicing this path. So in order to do that, you must go to bed very latest by midnight. You will have at least 5 hours sleep. I recommend at least 7 hours sleep for people, but minimum of 5 hours you need to get proper rest. Otherwise, you won't be able to practice this. It's not too difficult to do, 7 months, only for 7 months. You have to do this seriously, and you go to bed before 12 and get up before 5. And from 5 to 7, 2 hours, you practice this. So those 2 hours, you divide it into 2 parts. So the 2 parts, what you have to do is in the first part. What you do is, firstly, now most people have Kamma Varana. Kamma Varana means past karma, bad karma that people have committed in previous life with or without their knowledge. And those bad karma blocking your path to go to Nibbana. So the karma that you have committed, Lord Buddha has explained to Angulimala how to get rid of your karma, apart from Anantariya Papa Karma and some of the Aryapoada. I explained to you, we don't have any Anantariya Papa Karma. I explained those reasons in detail in the discussion, so you don't have to worry about it. We don't have Anantariya Papa Karma. If anyone wants to know these details again, please ask me during the question time, and I will explain that again. So don't worry about it. None of you have Anantariya Papa Karma. And Aryapoada, you may have some. So firstly, we ask for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, for any aryapada that we have committed, knowingly or unknowingly, throughout our samsara. So first you are asking for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Then secondly, the second way that we have people have committed sins is by doing something wrong to someone living on these 31 planes. So the 31 planes are 20 Brahma Loka, 6 Divya Loka, Manusha Loka, that's the human world, and the 4 hells. So you think of all the living beings living in these 31 planes. First ask them for forgiveness for any wrongdoing that you have done throughout your samsara. And then transfer all your merits to them and wish Nibbana for all of them as well as yourself with the power of those merits. Then as and when you do it, the sins that you have accumulated by doing wrong things to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and by doing wrong things to other living beings, they will gradually get eradicated because you are asking for forgiveness and you are transferring merits. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, of course, you can't transfer merits, but the living beings living on the 31 planes, you are asking for forgiveness, transferring merits, and wishing them Nibbana. So you are, in a way, paying compensation for the wrongdoings that you have done to them. So the wrongdoings that you have done will gradually get eradicated, and any kammavarana that you have blocking your path to Sotapanna will get gradually eradicated and path will be clear to you. So firstly, you ask for forgiveness. Then what you have to do is practice loving kindness meditation to train your mind to stop unwholesome thoughts coming into your mind. Now, once you move to the next stage, after Sotapanna, if you want to follow the Noble Eightfold Path, going towards Sakudagami, Anagami, and Arahat, you have to start practicing, controlling your thoughts as much as possible throughout the day. Eventually, when you become Arahat, you will have only wholesome thoughts in your mind and you will have no unwholesome thoughts coming into your mind. But that doesn't happen overnight, that you have to train gradually. So here what you are doing is getting a start on that. The easiest way to do it is by practicing loving kindness meditation. So in the first hour, what you do is first you will ask for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. That will take you only 2 minutes. Then you will ask for forgiveness from the living beings living on the 31 planes and transfer merits to them and wish them Nibbana. That may take another 2 or 3 minutes. So you have taken 5 minutes there, and the remaining time you spend on practicing loving kindness meditation. So that's how you spend your first hour. And the second hour, first half an hour, you listen to Dhamma again. You can listen to the Dhamma that I delivered, and also you can read a good website like Pure Dhamma, or you can listen to anyone else's Dhamma who is explaining the path correctly to Sotapanna. Listen to Dhamma. Don't try to listen to too many people or too many monks. Select a few, 2 or 3. And as far as reading is concerned, the best reading that I can recommend to you in English is the website Pure Dhamma. That's very, very good. You can enhance your knowledge by reading that. So by reading and by listening to Dhamma again, you develop your knowledge. And then the next half an hour, you do yoniso manasikara. What you listened to or what you read during the first half an hour, You try and go through it, analyze it, go through it over and over again, and try and comprehend it. That's what you have to do. When you go through this process, when you practice this process, you will gradually understand, you will gradually get the full knowledge of noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the reason for suffering, noble truth of out of suffering, and the noble truth of the way out of suffering. That's what Lord Buddha called the four special wisdoms, four Buddha jnana. A Samma Sambuddha has 73 Buddha jnanas, and a Sotapanna person will get 4 of them. Dukkha jnanam, that means the wisdom or the full knowledge of the noble truth of suffering. Dukkha samudaya jnanam, the complete knowledge of the reason for suffering. Dukkha nirodha jnanam, the complete knowledge of the out of suffering, and dukkha nirodhagamini patipada jnana. That's the complete knowledge of the way out of suffering, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. So when you listen to Dhamma and do the yoniso manasikara, in fact, when you practice those 4 stages for 2 hours a day, you will gradually realize the change within yourself. Your knowledge on those 4 things, the 4 noble truths, will improve every day, and eventually, depending on your paramita, some people within 7 days, some people within 7 weeks, some people within 7 months. 99% of you within 7 months will get those 4 wisdoms: dukkha jnanam, dukkha samudaya jnanam, dukkha nirodha jnanam, dukkha nirodhagamini patipada jnanam, and you will attain samma ditti. Samma ditti means, sang means raga, dvesha, moha, ma means completely eradicating, ditti is the vision. So you will get the vision of as to how to eradicate raga, dvesha, moha completely and go all the way to Arahathood. You will get that vision. Once you have got that vision, it's up to you. Then you have completed the first fold of the Noble Eightfold Path. You have completed Samma Ditti. You have eradicated Sakkaya Ditti, which is the wrong vision. When you eradicate Sakkaya Ditti, Vicikiccha and Silabhata Paramasa will be automatically eradicated. So you'll be eradicating 3 bonds of the 10 bonds that binds a person to this samsara. And then you complete Sammaditi, the first fold of the Noble Eightfold Path, and you are Sotapanna. Sota means the Nibbana Marga, Apanna means arrived. So you have arrived at the Nibbana Marga. You are, in English, you are called stream enterer. You have entered the stream, or you have entered the Nibbana Marga. You are Sotapanna. You have eradicated 3 bonds of the 10 bonds that binds you to the samsara. You have gained the 4 Buddha jnanas: dukkha jnanam, dukkha samudaya jnanam, dukkha nirodha jnanam, dukkha nirodhagamini patipada jnanam, and you are for permanently you are protected from the 4 hells for the rest of your samsara. So after your death, you can only go to a good place. If you, by the time you die, we all have to die. We all have to plan for it. So by the time we die, if you are Sotapanna or Sakuddagami, you will go to a good Divyaloka where you have all the necessary comforts. You won't have any of the problems, worries that you have in the human world. And then you will have all the facilities that are necessary for you to practice your path. It's a much better place than the human world. Then by the time when you die, if you have become anagami, you will go to even a better place, which is Brahmaloka, Suddhavasa Brahmaloka, where you will not have a body, you will only have a mind. And then it will be easier to do things, and it will be a better place, and eventually you will attain Nibbana and go to the Nibbana. So that is the path that you have to follow. And you can ask me any questions on that during the question time. It's 8 o'clock now. So I think we don't have time to start on the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra today, but I will very quickly, I will spend 5 minutes on the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra and explain the summary briefly. And then again, I will explain it in more detail next week. And then we will take each Dhamma point in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra and explain and discuss them and try and comprehend them in detail. So the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra was the first sutra that Lord Buddha delivered to Panchavaggiya Bhikkhu, the first 5 disciples, Kondanya, Bhadya, Vappa, Mahana, Masaji, after attaining Buddhahood. And in that, Lord Buddha explained the Nirvana Marga from A to Z. And by listening to this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, all 5 disciples became Sotapanna. Then Lord Buddha delivered Anantalakkana Sutra, which is very similar to the Sotapanna Sutra. And all 5 of them became Arahat by listening to Anantalakkana Sutra. So let's look at Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra very briefly. We'll look at the summary. In the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, first Lord Buddha says, Pubbe ananusutesu dhammesu. I am explaining you a Dhamma that you haven't heard before. Then he says, Chakkung udapadi, Jnanang udapadi, Panya udapadi, Vijja udapadi, Aloka udapadi. Chakkung udapadi means I got the vision of Dhamma. Jnanang udapadi, I got the knowledge of Dhamma. Panya udapadi, I got the wisdom of Dhamma. Vijja udapadi, I got the science of Dhamma. Aloka udapadi means I became Loka from Aloka. We will discuss them in detail next time. Then he says, in order to understand Dhamma, you have to come out of Kamasukallikana Yoga, Attakilamatana Yoga, and come to Majjhima Patipada. So Kamasukallikana Yoga is living a life of luxury. Attakilamatana Yoga is living a life full of austerity. In other words, giving unnecessary suffering to the body and the mind. And Majjhima Patipada is the Patipada, the path, the way that helps to eradicate Raga, Dvesha, Moha, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. Then he says Noble Eightfold Path is Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Then he says, in order to come to Samadhi, you have to comprehend the 4 noble truths. That's the noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the reason for suffering, noble truth of out of suffering, and the noble truth of the way out of suffering. Then he says, in order to comprehend the 4 noble truths, there are 4 things that you have to do. That's Kalyan Mitra Sevana, Sirisaddharma Stravana, Yoniso Manasikara, and Dhammanudhamma Patipada, which we discussed earlier. So those things we will start to discuss in detail next week. Now that we have completed 1 hour and 5 minutes, I'll stop the sermon there and give you 2 hours to ask any questions. Please ask any question from what we discussed last week and also what we discussed this week. Don't go any further, because if you go any further, then I'll have to explain the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra or the Sotapanna Sutra in detail to explain those, give reasonable answers to those questions. Okay, you can ask your questions now.
So from the 2-hour session that you recommended, is it something which we can do it at a stretch, or is it okay if we split that up?
Well, actually, it would be better if you do it at one stretch in the morning, Because in the evening you are tired, you see.
Right.
Morning is the best time that our mind can absorb more information and also remember the information. It's the most productive time. Lord Buddha called it actually Brahma Hora, that is between 4 and 6.
I have a few
But
more
if you can do
questions.
5 to 7, that would be fine.
So in the first part, you mentioned that we could go about and ask for forgiveness
Yes.
from Triple Gem, from all the sentient being of 31 realms, and
Yeah, firstly, you ask for forgiveness from the noble triple gem Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Don't mix the two up.
Right.
Firstly, from noble triple gem Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, you ask for forgiveness and ask for their blessings for you to comprehend Dhamma, right?
okay. So when we say that ask for the forgiveness,
Yes.
and if my mind is saying, if it's not convinced that I need forgiveness for anything, how can I unreach that, or how can I cultivate that there is a forgiveness and I
Say
have
that
to
again. I'm not. Sorry, there's a motor bicycle racing outside. I can't hear what you're saying. Can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, when we are asking for a forgiveness,
Yes.
if I'm not convinced that there is something to be asking for forgiveness, how is that? How can I cultivate that I need a forgiveness?
Well, what you are saying is you are not sure whether you have any wrongdoings that needs asking for forgiveness, right?
Right. I mean, of course, I know, but the depth of wrongdoing is what I'm not confident about.
The question is still not clear.
So, what kind of wrongdoing was done, and how intense was that? Is something I'm not able to know, or I don't know.
Well, we wouldn't know the possible wrongdoings that we would have done against Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha is now, for example, Lord Gautama Buddha. In a previous life, he had called one Samma Sambuddha some bad names, right? And his friend asked him to accompany him to go to listen to Dhamma. Then he said some bad names and said, how can that person teach Dhamma? I don't want to listen to his Dhamma. And it happened 6 times. And that amounted to 6 Aryapavadas. And that's why he had to suffer for 6 years in the forest while trying to find correct Dhamma. You know, the Arya-Parishana, the research program that he did for 6 years, not every Samma Sambuddha has to do that. Different Samma Sambuddhas go through different processes. He had to suffer for 6 years because of that, wrong thing that he said against the Samma Sambuddha. So the wrong things that we have done, wrongdoings, could be mentally, physically, or verbally.
Right.
Right? We don't know how many wrong things we have done. When we were a little child, we could have thrown, a little rock at a Buddhist monk who was walking down the road, and he could have been Arahat. We don't know, right?
Right.
So things like that, we don't know what we have done. According to Buddha Dhamma, we have had trillions and trillions, uncountable number of previous lives. And we don't know what we have done on these previous lives, you see. So that's why we are asking for any wrongdoings that we have done knowingly or unknowingly. We are asking for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And then we are asking blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for us to comprehend Buddha Dhamma. That is what Lord Buddha has recommended. That is what he asked Angulimala to do. You see, the Angulimala story. He was a man who killed over 1,000 people. And finally, Lord Buddha had a habit of, looking at the world at 4 o'clock in the morning to see who he can help on that day. And Angulimala came to his vision. So he walked so many miles looking for Angulimala, went to him and preached Dhamma to him and tamed him and brought him to the vihara and made him a monk. And within 3 months, he eradicated all the bad karma that he had, apart from few Aryapoa, the serious ones that he couldn't eradicate. Fortunately, he didn't have any Anantariya Papa karma, you see. He was going to murder his own mother that day to cut her finger, to make his collection 1,000 fingers. I think you know the story. And Lord Buddha saw that. Had he done that, he would have gone straight to hell after that life, and he will never come back until the next Sammasambuddha appears. But he had enough merits. Had he not done it, Lord Buddha saw that if Lord Buddha can stop him doing that, he has enough merits and wholesome qualities to become Arahata in this life, right? Despite the fact that he had killed 1,000 people. So that's why Lord Buddha went to him and saved him and brought him to the vihara, made him a monk, and teach him how to eradicate those sins and become a monk, become Arahata. So within 3 months, he became Arahata, you see.
Right. Yeah, I have another question, but I will ask that later.
No, go ahead.
So this is in the same discussion. The second part you mentioned that we have to listen to Dhamma, and after that we have to analyze the Dhamma, whatever we listen or whatever we read.
Yes.
As a second part.
Yes.
Now, I just want to understand the concept of analyzing, how to go about it.
You see, analyzing means, you see, now we say, now in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, Lord Buddha has given some logical steps as to how to move from one stage to the other. For example, he says, firstly, you have to come out of Kama Sukhallikana Yoga, that's living a life of luxury, and also Atta Kilamatana Yoga, living the other extreme, giving unnecessary suffering to the body, and coming to Majjhima Patipada, which is the path that helps you to eradicate Raga, Dvesha, Moha. So you can analyze these 3 statements in your mind. Now, coming out of, in practice, if you come out of Kama Sukhallikana Yoga, how does that help you to understand Dhamma, right? Let's say if you are living a life of luxury, you see, if you analyze it using your intelligence and wisdom, you can see that there's some truth in it, right? It will help you, because if you are living a super life of luxury, in these days, what do people do? You see, those people who have a lot of money, evenings they go to restaurants and spend a lot of money drinking, dancing, and then going to casinos and so on, and wasting their money, right? Whereas if you come out of that, firstly, it will improve your health to start with, physical health as well as mental health. And you know what happens now? They spend money and time and come home at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, then they are tired. And from on one hand, it is affecting their physical health, and on the other hand, it's affecting their mental health. They come home drunk and more frustrated, right? They don't come totally happy and satisfied and contented, do they? And the following morning, they get up and they feel like, they feel terrible in the morning. They are not happy. It's not making their life happier, it's making it unhappier. That's why people like Michael Jackson and this Mick Jagger and people like that, even Bill Gates, have gone crazy because they try to find happiness by spending money, following the Western philosophy, and it's the wrong route. They are going on a wild goose chase. right?
Yeah.
So once you come out of that, you're halfway there. The same with Atta Kilamatana Yoga. You see, if you are giving unnecessary suffering to the body and the mind, how can you concentrate and improve your wisdom and understand something? You see, those two extremes are not good. You have to get rid of those two extremes. And what we are trying to achieve here is eradicate the three poisons from our mind, what Lord Buddha called three poisons: raga, dvesha, moha, attachment, anger, and ignorance, as they call it in English. So in order to eradicate that, what path do we have to follow? We have to follow the path that helps to eradicate raga, dvesha, moha, right?
Yeah.
That is the Majjhima Patipada. Majji means getting drunk of raga, dvesha, moha. Ma means completely eradicating. Path is the vision, the system, the way, right? So Majjhima Patipada is the way or the path that helps you to eradicate raga, dvesha, moha. If we want to eradicate raga, dvesha, moha, which is our target, we have to follow the path that helps to eradicate raga, dvesha, moha, not any other path. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
So that way, if you look into these things, analyze, rather than just learning it by heart, look into the meanings of these words and see whether it adds up. According to your logic, does it add up? You see?
Right.
Not same with the Noble Eightfold Path. Once you come to Sammaditthi, that means you know the way, you know what you have to do to eradicate raga, dvesha, moha. Then you move on to Samma Sankappa, thoughts. So you look at your thoughts and try and eradicate raga, dvesha, moha from your thoughts and develop Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha thoughts in your mind. So when you do that, obviously, you will see that your raga quality, dvesha quality, moha quality will gradually go down, right? Then you move on to the next stage, Samma Vacha. If you gradually eradicate raga, dvesha, moha words from your speech and develop Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha words, it helps you to eradicate your raga, dvesha, moha qualities and develop and strengthen your Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha qualities. See, all we are trying to do is Sabba Papa Sakaranang, Kusala Supa Sampada. Sabba Papa Sakaranang is eradicate unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome deeds, unwholesome qualities. Kusala Supa Sampada means cultivate, develop, and accumulate wholesome thoughts, wholesome deeds, wholesome qualities. That's all that we have to do in Buddha Dhamma. Just think about it. It's not a rocket science. It's a very simple scientific theory that Lord Buddha has discovered through the cause and effect theory, right? So if you look at these things, if you analyze these things, you will see how they work, how the puzzle fits in. Then it's easier for you to remember rather than, you see, once you remember the logic, it's easier to remember something rather than trying to learn it by heart and remember, isn't it?
Right.
So it's the logic behind what we learn that we are trying to learn by analyzing. So once you have learned the logic and once your mind has accepted that it's correct, you get a vision of it, isn't it?
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yeah. So some of the concepts are easy to analyze, or rather we could do it, but some others probably would need more help. Let's say if I give an example from the last session of last year, the 10th session, you mentioned that when we die, all the wealth we generated stays here. We don't take anything. We also don't take any knowledge with us. So let's say if I have developed a knowledge for some mathematics.
No. You are taking all the knowledge in your Chitta Santana. Remember, There are four main boxes, and there's another box that accumulates everything that you have learned, you have heard, you have read. Everything that you have gathered is in that fifth box in the Vitakkasanthana. It's just that you don't have the retrieving power to retrieve it when you want, right? Retrieving power comes through wisdom. So as and when you practice this path and develop your wisdom, you will gain that retrieving power. Then you will be able to retrieve the information that you couldn't retrieve before, such as your previous life and the life before and so on. Everything that we have learned from the first day that we appeared on these 31 planes, whenever it was, everything that we have learned has been accumulated in that fifth box in the Vitakkasanthana.
Great.
It's all there.
That's great. Thank you, Bhanteji. Just one last thing you mentioned about wisdom generates the energy earlier today.
Wisdom generates what?
The energy to go ahead.
Wisdom is an energy. You see, everything is energy. You know, everything is made up of energies. Wisdom is an energy in itself, and wisdom is prajna, and vijnana is in the English word they use is foolishness. Vijnana is also an energy. Wisdom is a positive energy. Vijnana is a negative energy. So when we practice wholesome deeds and develop wholesome qualities, our wisdom will improve. When we practice unwholesome deeds and develop unwholesome qualities, our vijnana will improve. Right?
Right. Understand, Bhanteji. Thank you so much.
Bhanteji,
Yes.
Yeah, Bhanteji, during this 7 month of process, if we start doing the meditation and keep on doing the analysis about the Dhamma and contemplating on it, there might be multiple thoughts to which the logic is not there or something which is not clear. So what would be the good way to deal with this? I mean, how to keep the motivation up and do it continuously?
Well, give me one example of the problem that could come up.
For example, like just now you said that we will walk on the path of Nibbana once we will complete the stage of.
Yes. No, that I understand. Give me one example of the problem that you are referring to.
The conflict between the thoughts, like some thought which comes which doesn't seems to be logical, and still it is written into the Dhamma, and I don't understand the logic behind that.
No, are you talking of thoughts or Dhamma points?
Thoughts.
Now you are mixing up two issues here.
About the thoughts, Bhante, I'm
about
asking.
Thoughts. So thoughts that you are getting are either wholesome thoughts or unwholesome thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, what's the question there?
How to deal with this? I mean, in order to, to continue the 2 hours daily meditation or daily contemplating, to how to motivate ourselves to do it in a right direction. What
motivation is one thing. Now you are mixing up several issues. Motivation to do it is one thing. Dealing with unwholesome thoughts coming into your mind is another issue. Which one are you asking now? Be precise with your question. You are mixing up several issues.
No, both issues, Bhante, I want to know.
Motivation. Now let's talk about the motivation first. The motivation to do this is look at the amount of suffering that you are undergoing right now, right? And look at the suffering the rest of the world is undergoing. And then look at the suffering that is involved in the animal kingdom. And do you want to go through that again in your next life? Or do you want to go to the animal kingdom or worse than that? Now, one gentleman asked me last week, how can we see the ghost kingdom and the inferior ghost kingdom. Is that gentleman here today? Hello?
Yeah,
I think Prashant asked this question. Prashant, you are there? He's there.
Right. Prashant, do you still want to see the ghost kingdom and the inferior ghost kingdom, or ghost and inferior ghost? Are you still interested in seeing them? Or you gave up the idea? Prashant, I can't hear you. Hello, Prashant?
Bhanteji, I think Prashant dropped off, looks like. I just saw.
Okay.
he's
If
not there.
anyone wants to see the, animal kingdom, we can see. If anyone wants to see ghosts or inferior ghosts, go to a big cemetery just before midnight. Take some beef with you and fried fish and sit there and eat them, and invite the ghosts and the inferior ghosts to come and join you. They will certainly come. You will see them, if anyone wants to see that. But before you go there, take a life insurance policy in case you don't come back. They are there.
Bhanteji,
So going back to the question that the gentleman asked earlier, how do you motivate? So just look at the amount of suffering that these, human beings are undergoing in the world, and also the worst suffering that the animals are undergoing. And you don't want to go there again, you see, you just want to come out of it. You want to go to a better place, and you want to have a better life, more peaceful life in this world while you are living. So there's a way that Lord Buddha has explained, and just try that and see, if you start practicing it, just practice it for a month and see it's worth it, you will begin to see the results. You see, that's the motivation that you will have. You see, what other alternative do you have? There's no other alternative. You see, no one else gives us an alternative. Just try this for a month and see, and I guarantee you that you will feel the difference. That's the motivation that you will have. The second question you have is, how do you deal with the unwholesome thoughts that are coming into your mind? In Vitakkasanthana Sutra, I explained how to do that. You say in Vitakkasanthana Sutra, Lord Buddha explained 7 techniques, 6 or 7 techniques as to how to deal with unwholesome thoughts coming into your mind. I'll quickly go through a few of them. Firstly, he said, if an unwholesome thought is coming to your mind, just forget about it. Don't let it come in. And if it keeps coming, then you forget that and don't allow that to come in. You develop a wholesome thought instead in your mind, right? Like that, he explains 7 techniques. I can't remember all 7 off the top of my head, but next time I will have a quick look at it again and tell you. Then one, he says, what did he say? He says, press your tongue against the upper part of your mouth and clench to your teeth and, determine in your mind that you will not allow this unwholesome thought to come in. So if you are practicing a wholesome thought all the time in your mind, how can an unwholesome thought come in? It cannot. There's no way, there's no room for it to come in, right? It's not easy, I know, but eventually you will get there. That's why you have to practice. Now, when you start practicing loving kindness meditation, initially, maybe you will practice for 2 minutes and unwholesome thought will come in. So you're not going to get up and walk away. You forget about the unwholesome thought and start practicing again. After some time, you'll be able to go on for 5 minutes. Then after some time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Eventually, you'll be able to do it for half an hour, 1 hour, and so on. So gradually, you have to train your mind like that. You see, it's a training that we have to do because, you see, we have a mind that hasn't been trained in trillions and trillions of lives. It's like, if you take the Lord Buddha has given an example. If you take a wild buffalo who has lived in the forest for 10 years, living a free life, running here and running there. If you catch him and tie him up with a rope and tie the rope into a tree where he couldn't run away from the tree, then he will go crazy. He will try to run here, there, everywhere. Then he will get tired and sit down. Then he will learn to relax and sit down and stay in one place and have his food and water and sleep and so on. He said our mind is like a wild buffalo, untamed mind. So mind has to be tamed, mind has to be trained. And that's what we are going to do. And it's for some people, it could be very quick. For some people, those people who have practiced that in previous lives, they could, gather the technique, learn the technique very quickly. Whereas for people, those who haven't done for a long time, maybe for many, many lives, it will take longer. But Lord Buddha said, eventually, if you try hard, within 7 months, 99% of the people will master it. And at the end of the day, you don't have to be able to do it 100% to become Sotapanna. It will happen 100% at the stage of Arahata. At Sotapanna level, you'll be able to do it at least 50% of the time. So you have to try it, you see. Initially, it will be difficult, but as and when the time goes by, you keep practice trying and trying and trying, you will see it will get easier and better. That's the way to deal with unwholesome thoughts coming into your mind.
Thanks, Bhante.
Please read the Vitakkasanthana Sutra again. It's only 3 pages. You can download it from the internet. And there are 6 or 7 techniques that Lord Buddha has given there. And you can practice them. You see, that is the way to train your mind initially before you go into serious meditation techniques that Lord Buddha explained in the Satipatthana Sutra.
Okay, Bhante. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
And I was just, could you repeat that, the thing you just mentioned just now for wholesome and unwholesome thoughts?
Is that Hardika?
It is, yes. Namo Buddhaya. Yes.
Now with the Hardika. Hardika, it's like this, you see now. In the first series, I explained that. Obviously, you missed that. So let me go through the second series. Let me take you through the second series, right? Once you have listened to all the sermons, you'll be able to understand it better. So this question actually applies to the people who are in the first group. Now we have 2 groups here. So don't worry about understanding what we are talking, this particular point. First, you have to listen to the other sermons as we go on. And then when it comes to the right point, you can ask me the question if you don't understand, but by then you will understand, I'm sure. If not, you can ask me, because if I'm going to explain it to you now, I will have to explain you 2 sutras, which will take about 2 hours, Dvedhavitakka Sutra and Vitakkasanthana Sutra. In fact, I'll have to explain 4 sutras to you, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, SOTHAPANNA Sutra, Dvedhavitakka Sutra, and Vitakkasanthana Sutra. That's what we are going to do in the next few sessions, few weeks. So please bear with me and listen to those. We'll go step by step, and eventually you will get there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any other questions from anyone?
Nami Bhante, Namo
Namo
Buddhaya.
Buddhaya.
Bhante, I had a question related to the 7 months that you mentioned.
Yes.
Where earlier I had read about 7 years that Bhante said that if a bhikkhu, I don't remember exactly which sutta it was, but if a bhikkhu...
It's the Satipatthana Sutra, which says 7 years, yes.
Yes, Bhante. So what is the 7 years he is talking about, Bhante? Is it for the arhanthood? Is he talking about for Sotapanna stage? Just a little confusion there, Bhante.
Yeah,
Can you
7 years is for the people who fall into the lowest level of wisdom called Padaparama. right? It's only about 1% of the people who listen to, who have the correct paramita and have kalyan mitra sevana and sirisad-dharma sevana. For example, let's say if there are 100 people who are listening to this Dharma Desana, right? Those 100 have completed their paramita. That means they have received Kalyana Mitra Sevana and Sirisad-dharma Shravana. Now, out of those 100, only one person will take up to 7 years, right? And only one person will take up to 7 days. And the remaining 98% will be between 7 days and 7 months. So in other words, 99% of the people who come to this process, who practice the path correctly, 99% will become at least Sotapanna, minimum of Sotapanna, maximum of Arahat within 7 months. Only 1% will go beyond 7 months up to 7 years.
Thank you, Bhante. Bhante, I have one more follow-up, Bhante.
Yes. Yes.
Bhante, so there are some references in the Tipitaka for 7-year-old being Sotapanna, like Vitakkasanthana was Sotapanna. Even I think for Bhante, Rahul, he becomes Sotapanna.
Yes, Visakha and Rahul, those two became Sotapanna at the age of 7, yes.
Right, Bhante. And then there are some references to, I think, kids of Anathapindaka was also Sotapanna, and some of them were Sapatagami and Agami as well.
And not 7 years. As far as I can remember, there are only 2 who became Sotapanna at 7, very exceptional cases. That's Visakha and Rahula, that's all.
Oh, okay, Bhante. So to comprehend the idea here that we are trying to understand, which is eradicating the unwholesome by observing that this is unwholesome and you are avoiding that.
Yes.
And with the purposeful acceptance of wholesome in the mind.
Yes.
So how does those 7 years were able to do it, Bhante?
See, those are exceptional cases, you see. Those people have practiced them many, many lives in the past. They may have listened to Dhamma from several Samma Sambuddhas before and comprehended Dhamma, and they were at the edge of becoming Sotapanna, right? People like, Sariputta and Moggallana, they heard only few words because they were missing one link, and that link was explained to them and they understood it. Similarly, these 2 kids, 7 years, even though they were 7 years old in age, their level of wisdom was very, very high for that level. They had a wisdom of maybe about 18-year-old child, 18, 20-year-old child, you see? Now, there are similar examples here. There was I think 12-year-old child in UK, a girl who got a PhD from Oxford at the age of 12. And she had never been to school and she had been taught by her father. Those are exceptional cases due to various reasons. And they are very few and far between.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
Vandami Bhante ji. Vinaya. Namo Buddhaya. Vinaya here. I have a question.
Yes.
First, I just have a comment on Milind's question on forgiveness. I was just jokingly saying him that don't convince yourself, I will convince you to ask for forgiveness.
Okay.
So Bhante ji, definitely thank you so much for explaining the path of meditation, asking for forgiveness, and then, cultivating the loving kindness, as well as, asking for eradication of suffering and everything for other beings, the entire two hours. Sounds like a very, just at the face of it, it sounds like a very good technique. My question is, Bhanteji, with regards to one personal thing, okay, with regards to unwholesome thing that you're talking about, unwholesome thoughts and actions.
Yes.
As you know, I have a son, we have a son, Shonak,
Yes.
12 years old.
Yes.
And, you know, despite knowing at least academically about the suffering, right, the Four Noble Truths,
Yes.
we feel that, you know, he should study whereby he should get a reasonably okay life, right? And when we think of okay life, it is always materialistically, right? He should be independent. And I think everybody as a parent think like that.
Yes.
So what happens is whenever he resists for study, I try to lovingly tell him, but lovingness never works. So, you know, then you have to generate anger, kind of try to show your power over him.
Yes.
And that's why he gets scared. And then he says, okay, Mama, I'll study.
Yes.
Or sometimes it so happens that I get angry and then I calm down and then try to teach him lovingly, and then he understands.
Yes.
But Bhanteji, that thing is happening quite often, and I don't know the path out. That anger is getting generated in me. I can see that it gets generated. So how much ever I'm trying to be lovingly, you know, be with him. So I'm just giving one example, right?
Yes.
And then these kind of examples might be coming both in my personal and professional life, where I'm kind of losing patience with people and kind of getting angry. So do you think this method of cultivation will help in that kind of sporadic nature, impulsive nature as well?
Well, very good question. You see, it's a very common question for people who are living a very busy life. You see, we are only human. We are capable of doing only so much. But when we overload ourselves, let's say if you take a vehicle that transport goods, if you overload things, it will slow down, and eventually, you know, it will move forward with greatest difficulty, and then it will break down, isn't it? Yeah. Now, one physicist once, I think it was Stephen Hawking, once said that, you know, the amount of information that human brain is trying to process in a day, if you load that information into the most advanced computer in the world, it will crash. See, because people are trying to deal with so many things in one day, right? Which we are not, you know, meant to do. We are not capable of doing so many things. That's why it generates so much anger within people. You know, that's people say stress. More stress you have, more anger you will generate. You see, so what you have to do is in your life, gradually reduce the amount of things that you do. You see, is it really necessary to do all those things? You see, that is what is important. Otherwise, it's going to take a toll on your physical health as well as mental health. If you overload the vehicle cannot move forward. Similarly, we are only human and we are meant to do only certain things. Now, for example, let me tell you, 100 years ago, let's say before the British came to Sri Lanka, the normal way of life was more than 90% of the people lived, their livelihood was agriculture, and all the land was owned by the king, and king gave 2 or 3 acres to every family, and the family lived there and they had their farm. Mother was the homemaker and father was the breadwinner. Mother looked after the house. She looked after the children. She did the cooking and everything. Father didn't have to worry about it. And father ran the farm and grew all the things that they need, like vegetables, grain, whatever. They were vegetarians. And the children, grown-up children, helped the father. It was, you know, working in the farm was fun. Normally, they start work at 6 o'clock in the morning, And 5 o'clock in the morning, they get up and mother has made the breakfast. Let's say 5:45, they have breakfast, and 6 o'clock, roughly, they go to the farm. Farm means outside the house. And father will start working, father and the children will help. And it was all fun working in the farm. I don't know whether you have tried agriculture. If you try growing things, you know, you are working with the nature, and it gives you some special kind of happiness. And also growing your own food, it makes you so happy. Now this summer I have grown some tomatoes in our little garden in the middle of our vihara. Between our vihara and the meditation hall, we have a little garden, and I grew some tomatoes, and they have come up beautifully. And every day I'm picking up tomatoes and giving to our students and so on, that I feel some kind of happiness, you know, doing that. So similarly, when you are working with the nature, what we are supposed to do, we feel happy. Work is not a 4-letter word anymore. But the European culture has changed everything. So those days, what the father and the children worked in the farm from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 midday, they will stop work, and that's the day's work done. Then they go to the nearest river or the lake, have a bath, come home, 1 o'clock, mother has prepared the lunch, and all the food organic comes from the farm, and they all have lunch, and all of them had a rest for 3-4 hours till the evening, nothing to do. Then in the evening, they will get up, have a cup of tea, and the entire family goes to the vihara. And the children are taught at the vihara. Classes may be, 2 or 3 hours. And they learned, what did they learn? They learned languages, mathematics, general knowledge. And that's what they learned. And the livelihood that they did, agriculture, they learned from the father. So in the evening, when they go to the vihara, the ladies will sit on one side, they will chat, talk about things that they enjoy, and the men will sit in another place. Some will chat, some will play little games, some will be meditating, some will be praying, and the children will be learning in the school from the monks. And once the children finish the school, the entire family come home. About 8:30 night, they have their dinner, go to bed. 9 o'clock, 9:30, they are in bed. They won't waste time watching television and all that. So 5 o'clock in the morning, they wake up fresh. They lived a very good life, happy life, and that's how we are meant to live. But we have made our life so artificial. You see, that's where the entire problem begins. Life has become artificial because the European way of thinking is different. They came to our countries and imposed their way of life on us. And our people also have very happily embraced that. And the whole world is in a mess. You see? So what we have to do is gradually come out of it. We have to gradually stop, because, if you put diesel in a petrol car, it's not going to work. It's going to give problems, isn't it? Similarly, if we try to do things what we are not supposed to do by nature, obviously we will have problems. You see, attachment, anger, and ignorance, those things will develop. So we have to gradually come out of this, what I call unnatural way of living, and we have to get back to natural way of living. You see? Now, most people think that we have to live in a city, we have to wear tie and 3-piece suit and go to work, and we have to do what we call a professional job, and we have to earn so much money. What for? At the end of the day, it will make you physically sick, mentally sick, and die early and go to hell. So what's the point? You see? So these are the things one has to think about. You see, one has to find an overall solution to it rather than trying to put patches. You see, trying to put patches, trying to give solutions from an Eastern system where the problems have been created by the Western system, it's not going to work. You see? So think about it. Once you become Sotapanna, you will understand better. Basically, if we want to be happy in this world, we have to start to learn. We have to learn to live with the nature. That's the only way we are going to be happy. If we are going to continue with that race, we will never be happy. It will make us unhappy, unhealthy, physically and mentally, and also going to cause all kinds of frictions within families. Unfortunately, that's the answer I have to give you. I'm sure you're not going to be too happy with it. But you see, that's the only answer that I have and I can give you.
Thank you. That was great. I'm not sure if anybody else has a question. I have another follow-up question, Bhanteji.
Yes.
So Bhanteji, with regards to the method, meditation method, where we are talking about cultivating loving kindness,
Yes.
metta, karuna, upekha, maitri, karuna, upekha, and
Yeah, maitri, karuna, mudita, upekha. Yes.
mudita, upekha,
Yes.
and then getting rid of the 3 defilements.
Yes.
And Bhanteji, so we are talking about unwholesome thoughts as well as actions.
Yes.
But this method is about cultivation of thoughts.
Yes.
But it doesn't talk about cultivation of action. So is it because the thoughts are the precursor to action, or there will be something, you will tell us again, something more for action part of it?
You see, action is always followed by thoughts. Thought is the first part, beginning of the action, right? So every action begins with a thought. If you go back to Dhammapada, the first verse there, Mano pubbangama dhamma mano setta manomaya manasache pasanena basativa karoti. Mano settang manomaya means every action begins with a thought, right? Thought is the beginning of the action. It's a part of the action. Without a thought, you cannot have an action. So if you start with a wholesome thought, your action will be wholesome. If you start with an unwholesome thought, your action will be unwholesome, right? So action and thought, thought is they are together. They are part of each other. Action, thought is the first part. Action is the second part. Action could be mentally, physically, or verbally. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you go one step backwards, in order to construct a thought, first you construct your mind. So construction of mind could be with either raga, dvesha, moha, which is called sanchetana, or it could be with maitri, karuna, mudita, upekha. First you construct your mind, then you construct the thought, then you put it into action mentally, verbally, or physically. These things happen very, very quickly. You know, if it is a thought, constructing the mind, constructing the thought, and cultivating that thought happens very, very quickly. You see, let's say, for example, if you see a nice car going on the road, and if your vijnana is stronger, your vijnana will very quickly construct your thought with raga, dvesha, moha, right? Where your thought will be constructed with raga, dvesha, moha, sanchetana. That's what we mean by chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami. Without chetana, there's no karma, it says. So chetana is that if you have constructed your thought with wholesome chetana, wholesome thoughts, that will be a merit. But if you construct your thoughts with raga, dvesha, moha, then that will be unwholesome, that will be a sin. So that's where the chetana comes in. That's a little advanced point. Don't worry too much about it. But the answer to your question is, now repeat that question again, please.
Yeah, the question was same thing, Bhanteji, that, you know.
Yeah, wholesome action and wholesome thought, right?
Exactly.
They're part of each other. The first part is the thought and the second part is the action.
Thank you so much.
Good questions are coming out now, you see, which means that you are doing yoniso manasikara, you are thinking about it. Very, very good.
And Bhateji, another question I have,
Yes.
something similar to what Naksen asked.
Yes.
Our mind is not yet cultivated enough to focus on that, just one part of, say, first 5 minutes, we ask for forgiveness.
Yes.
But I'm sure within that 5 minutes also, my mind is going to waver, right?
Yes, initially it will happen, but as
Yeah.
you practice your loving kindness meditation, gradually your mind will learn to relax and concentrate on one thing that you are saying, in words. It will happen gradually. Don't worry about it. Initially, when you're asking for forgiveness, suddenly you will think, did I have anything in the oven? Did I cook breakfast for Shanuk,
Yeah.
Suddenly those thoughts will come to your mind, because that is the way that your mind is trained at the moment. It's running everywhere. Lord Buddha said, untrained mind is the crazy monkey. Crazy monkey can't stay at one place. It's jumping all over the place. Our mind is like that. So we have to gradually train it. Don't worry about it. Once you start, best way to do it is practice is a loving kindness meditation. Once you start practicing loving kindness meditation, you will feel some comfort within yourself, physically and mentally, and you will start to enjoy that feeling. That feeling, enjoyment, you see, will help you to continue. And that way, gradually, you'll be able to develop your concentration, samma sati. And it will happen, you see. All you have to do is give it time and keep at it, keep practicing.
Thank you so much, Bhanteji.
You're welcome.
Bhante, can I ask something about compassion?
Yes.
Bhante, how to develop the compassion? What I have experienced nowadays, since lot many months, this kind of thought is coming in my mind. When I feel, when I separate myself, or I assume myself as an individual entity, then that particular feeling of compassion doesn't come into me. But when
feeling of compassion. I say
mean,
compassion or confession?
Compassion.
Is it confession or compassion?
Compassion, Bhanteji.
Compassion.
Yeah.
Okay, karuna.
Yeah.
As in Maitri karuna.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when I think myself as an individual,
Yes.
then I only think about myself, and then
Yes.
the relevant compassion for that particular situation doesn't come out. But when I feel that the situation is myself, then I feel that situation completely like me, and the feeling of compassion gets generated. So my question is, how to develop a compassion?
You see, the way to develop compassion is karuna, right? The way to develop Maitri, karuna, mudita, upekka, in other words, loving kindness, equanimity, and sympathetic joy. Kindness is compassion. So the way to develop that is practice that. You see, practice loving kindness meditation. That's the only way. That's the way that Lord Buddha has recommended. There's no other way. You practice that in your thoughts, you practice that in your action. You see, if you practice your loving kindness meditation every day for half an hour, every time when you see, let's say, someone helpless, that compassion will, rise within yourself. It will come out of you. You will feel sad. You will feel like helping that person. You see? So that compassion has to be built. And the way to build it is by practicing loving kindness meditation. There's no other way. Whatever the sentences that you use, now we say, the sentences that I use are like, may all living beings and myself be happy, be healthy, be free from worries, and so on. And that is developing your Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha. Maitri is unconditional love. Karuna is kindness or compassion. Mudita is be happy for other people's joy. You are wishing good for other people because you like it, you enjoy it, you feel better for it, right? Upekkha is a little more difficult to understand. I explained it in more detail in the first series. Upekkha is when something good happens to you, you don't get overjoyed and develop an attachment towards it with raga, dvesha, moha, or something bad happens to you, you develop a negative attachment with it, when something good happens to you, you don't develop an attachment with it with raga. If something bad happens to you, you don't develop an attachment with that, negative attachment with that, with dvesha, right? And both those things, raga and dvesha, happens because of moha, not knowing the Four Noble Truths. So raga has moha, dvesha has moha. If you get rid of moha, then you will have no raga, no dvesha. So raga and dvesha are the two sides of the same coin. And that coin exists because of moha. You see, if you like something, you develop raga. If you're liking towards that changes to disliking, it becomes dvesha. For example, the best example is if you take husband and wife, then they are together, they love each other, they are attached to each other with raga. And when they fall out and they go to divorce courts, they hate each other and they develop attachment with dvesha. They do both, either raga or dvesha, because of the moha. Moha is not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Does that answer your question?
Right, Bhante. Yeah. Thank you.
Bhante, thank you so much for explaining the Upekkha part very nicely. That was not very clear till now. So thank you so much for that. I think Bhanteji, Samna, Arya, Brahma, she or he has a question that time. So maybe we should.
You mean the Buddhist monk?
Yes.
He's from South India.
I think he had a question or
Bhante,
comment.
you have a question, Bhante?
Yes, Venerable Sir. Can you hear me clearly,
Yes,
Venerable Sir?
loud and clear, Bhante.
Okay, sir. The 2-hour part will be like first probably first half an hour or 15 minutes asking the forgiveness, and then moving to moving to metta.
Yes, it will take only 5 or 6 minutes to ask for forgiveness. You know, first you ask for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and then you ask for forgiveness. And first you ask for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Then you ask for the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for you to comprehend the Buddha Dhamma. Then you think of all the living beings living on the 31 planes, ask them for forgiveness for any wrongdoings that you have done throughout your samsara, and then transfer merits to them and they wish them nibbana, right? That will take only 5 or 6 minutes maximum. Rest of the time you spend on loving kindness meditation.
And the next 1 hour we have to read probably
first half an hour you listen to Dhamma, study Dhamma, right?
Okay.
Listening, you can listen over and over again to my sermons or any other good sermon that you can find that correctly explains path to Sotapanna, right? Very, very important. All certain parts of it. And then you can read. For reading, I recommend the Pure Dhamma website, which is hosted by a physics professor in America. He's originally from Sri Lanka. And that website is the only English website that I have seen that explains Dhamma correctly, right?
Okay,
It's
Bhante.
very comprehensive, but very, very good.
It's dhamma.org. No, sorry.
Pure Dhamma,
No. Pure Dhamma.
P-U-R-E,
Pure Dhamma.
as in
Pure
pure
Dhamma.
water,
Yes. Yes.
pure
Yes,
Dhamma dot net.
Yeah, yes, I have seen it.
He's a physics professor. He beautifully compares scientific side of Buddha Dhamma to physics. And he says that modern physics have discovered less than 10% of what Lord Buddha discovered through the cause and effect theory.
Okay, Bhante. I have another question that is a
Yes.
general question, which from my childhood I have wondered about this. The
Bhante, can you
concept
speak
of,
louder now?
now, can you hear me, Bhante? Can you hear me now,
A little
Bhante?
louder.
Bhante, now
That's
is
better
it
now.
audible?
Yes. If you take the
Okay,
mic
Bhante.
closer.
Closer. Okay, Bhante. Now is it okay, Bhante?
Yeah, it's better now. Yes.
Okay, Bhante. So the concept of the concept of generally the time, actually, this is a general question. So okay, can I ask, Bhante?
Yes.
General question.
Now, in fact, the 2 hours time is for
yes,
lay
Bhante.
people, right? For monks
Okay.
like you and I, we can spend more time and become Sotapanna quicker. Obviously we have more time. It's
Bhante.
up to us how I know we sometimes do social services also, but initially until you become Sotapanna, it's best to reduce the time that you spend on other things and spend more time on this. If you can spend 6 hours, so much the better, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours in the evening, then you'll be able to complete the path and become Sotapanna very quickly. 2 hours is for the lay people because, they have 101 things to do in their life.
Sure, Bhante.
Whereas monks like you and I, we are so lucky, we have very little things to do compared to them.
Yes, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
Well, what's your question, Bhante? You are going to ask another question.
The second question is actually related to this one. Is when I read extensively for the suttas, generally if I read for say continuously for a week, for example, then I get the jhanas actually when I read continuously. For example, the whole day I read, for example, say, and I repeat it every day, then I get the jhanas. But the problem is when I get the jhanas, after I get the jhanas, I stop everything. So I stop everything and I take rest or something like that, Bhante. So is it that even in jhana I have to continue or something like that, Bhante?
Now, when you say jhana, explain to me exactly what you mean, how you feel.
Okay, Bhante. So
what exactly is, a jhana?
Yes,
What do you mean by a jhana and how you feel when you get it?
Okay, Bhante. For example, I will describe to you the third, one of the jhanas. In one of the jhanas, I feel that the head, my head is immersed in happiness. The happiness is not is constant wherever I go. The happiness is there, is clear and it's constant, and I feel less in the body from the neck down. It's little, the feeling is lesser. It is like something like a candle flame. My head is in the flame of happiness, actually, or I'm immersed in happiness. And this is, I think, the.
Do you feel happy in
one,
your mind and comfortable in your body?
Yes, Bhante.
Now, does this
Or
happen when
or
you are reading the sutra, or when you are sitting
Bhante.
down, closing your eyes, staying in one position and meditating?
No, Bhante. When I constantly read for a week, for example, then for a week or so, I on the 5th day or 6th day, I will get it, Bhante. This is one of the jhana. For example, in another jhana, this thing.
Now,
What
let's
happens
talk
is,
about the first one. Let's
okay,
clear
Bhante.
that first. Now, when you
Yes,
say
Bhante.
you feel happy, now let me
Bhante.
get
And the
to the
happiness.
bottom of it, To
Yes,
give
Bhante.
you the correct answer, I need to know exactly what it is. Now,
Yes,
do
Bhante.
you
And
feel happy in your mind and very comfortable in your body, cooling feeling, very nice, very happy feeling in the mind, happy feeling in the body? Is that what you get?
happy feeling in the mind, Bhante. The intensity of the happiness is something like winning a 100 cups of the Formula One race, something like that. At a time.
Now, why do you feel so happy? What kind of Dhamma do you read? Can you give me an example of what you read? I can't hear you, Bhante. Can you speak louder?
Yes, Bhante. All of them. Generally, even the I think I will describe. I will tell you the suttas later, Bhante. But
Are you
yes,
saying that
Bhante.
you are continuously reading the sutras?
Yes, Bhante. If I continuously read the sutras, then I get the jhana. For example, another jhana.
You feel happy, right?
Yeah, in another jhana.
So when you feel happy, do you stop reading it, or do you continue?
I don't
No,
continue,
you shouldn't
Bhante.
stop. You see, Lord Buddha said jhana is like this. Jhana is an obstruction to our path. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say if you are traveling in a car from, let's say, Chennai to Bombay, right?
Yes,
how many miles is that? About 3,000 miles?
Maybe, Bhante. I don't
let's
know.
say 3,000 miles. On that
Bhante.
journey, let's say if you travel that journey, if you complete that journey within three days, you will get what you have been looking for your entire life, right? If you get there within the 3 days. But if you pass the deadline, you won't get anything. So you start your journey, and on the way, there are 4 hotels that provide board and lodging, everything free of charge. You can eat and drink as much as you like. You have 5-star hotels. All the facilities are there. If you stop at the hotel and start enjoying the facilities there and waste your time, you will miss your deadline, right?
Yes, Bhante.
Jhanas are like that. If you stop there and start enjoying jhana, you won't be able to continue your path. Your mind will get used to enjoying jhana. Then what you will do is, you will practice the path as far as the jhana, stop there and enjoy the jhana. You have to go past the jhana, right? Don't think about, let it be there. Let that good feeling be there. You continue what you are doing, right?
Okay, Bhante.
Whatever the Dhamma you are learning, reading, you continue. It's like a meditation. You see, when you are reading Dhamma, what you have is wholesome thoughts in your mind and no unwholesome thoughts, right?
Yes, Bhante. Yes,
so that's why you feel happy. But jhana is an obstruction. Don't get hold on to the jhana and start enjoying it. It's like a free hotel where you get board and lodging free of charge. Try that and see. You'll be able to go further.
Yes, Bhante. Yes, Bhante. And another question, Bhante. It's a general question.
Yes.
I actually the general question was I think
sorry, I lost that part, Bhante. There was motorbicycle going outside.
Sorry.
You see, our Bihar is very near the main road.
Okay, Bhante. The thing is related to the seeing the ghosts and gods, for example. I have seen recently what happened is early in the morning. I have seen yeah, waking up. I have seen two gods or something like that. And 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 I have seen some ghosts also, but yeah, there is nothing about it. But just asking if you have seen any of such weird things, Bhante.
To be honest, I haven't seen, but it's not
Okay,
uncommon.
Bhante.
You see, when you are meditating, sometimes your raga desha moha will be so low. If it is in the same frequency as some of the superior beings, now you are staying in a vihara, sometimes the superior beings come to vihara to practice their meditation. They go to different places for a change. And if your level of raga desha moha goes up to the same frequency as them, you will see them, right?
Okay, Bhante.
So
Yes,
it's not
Bhante.
uncommon. Similarly, if your raga desha moha goes down sometimes to a lower level, and that if that agrees with any ghost, any bhuta or preta in that area, you will start to see them.
Okay, Bhante. Yes, Bhante. Actually, I wished for seeing Mara, and that Sakka, the two gods I wished to see, and one fine morning I saw probably, yeah, I could feel that they are yeah, it was Mara
You see,
and the other
it's
one.
always better, if you
Yes,
really
Bhante.
like to see them, wish that you will see Samyak Dittika superior beings. In other words, Sotapanna, you use the word gods. Okay, that's fine. But some people misunderstand it. I also use it. I used to use it, but I don't use it anymore because it upsets some
Devas.
people. So I say
Sorry.
superior beings. Let's say
Superior.
superior beings, right? Superior beings, those who have become Sotapanna. If you like to see them, they can always help your path, right? They like to help. So if you transfer merits to them and wish that you will see them, you will see them. But don't wish to see, other types of superior beings who are in that bad Develoka. They will give you nothing but trouble. See, they want you to join them. You
Okay,
see?
Bhante.
So they will obstruct your path. They will give you problems. You know the story of the Mara that he tried to obstruct Lord Buddha.
Yes, Bhante.
You see, I transfer merits to all of them every day, including Mara, and say, please don't obstruct my path, and I don't have any trouble with them.
Okay, Bhante.
See, always wish to see good people and not bad people. Bad people, come to your vihara, they give you trouble, isn't it?
Yes, Bhante.
It's like that.
Yes, Bhante.
It's okay to wish to see, Samyak Dittika Deva, that superior beings living in the two good heavens, two good Divyaloka. They will help you because they want you to join them.
Okay,
And that's a
Bhante.
good place. And when you become Sotapan, only you can go there. So they will help you to become Sotapan. Whereas the other lot will want you to join them. They're all like that, you see. So they will
Bhante.
obstruct your way and try to get you there.
Okay, yes, okay, Bhante. And one more small question, Bhante.
Go ahead, no problem.
This question is when I do the it is outside this one, I think it is about the Buddha Anusati. When I tried to meditate on the 9 qualities of the Buddha,
Yes.
I get the Buddha's image like a flash.
Yes.
Flash means I can see him clearly.
Yes.
After I get this image, what happens is I get something like jhana, but it is not jhana. I know that it is some other, but it stays for half a day or something like that. But as soon as I get it, I feel very happy, and I stop the meditation, and I want to go and have a nice cake or something like that. So and then feel happy. So this is again, I feel that I stop after I feel very happy. I stop it actually. So this is yes, Bhante, something.
Yeah, it's like
Yes,
you are
Bhante.
staying at the hotel and enjoying yourself, going for a swim, you see. So don't do that. You continue your meditation from there. Go past that stage.
Okay, Bhante. Okay, Bhante.
Methanusati is, Buddha Anusati is very good. Meditation on the 9 qualities of Buddha, that's very good. But the easiest one to practice is loving kindness meditation. And in Ratana Sutra, Lord Buddha explains that using loving kindness meditation, you can go all the way up to Arahathood. In Ratana Sutra, in the end, he says, Nahijadu Gabbasayang Punaretiti. That means that you will never come back to a human or to a womb again. You will not have a birth again. That means either you become anagami or arahat. So loving kindness meditation is easier to practice. Buddhanusati is good, but if you are used to that, it's fine. But Buddhanusati is little harder to practice than loving kindness meditation.
Oh, okay, Bhante. Okay, Bhante. That's all I think, Bhante, for the time being, Bhante.
See, those are the 4 anusatis that Lord Buddha explained in the Satipatthana Sutra. First one is Mettanusati, loving kindness meditation. Second one is Asubhanusati. Third one is Marananusati. And fourth one is the one you just mentioned, Buddhanusati, meditating on the 9 qualities of the Buddha. Yeah, if you are Sotapanna, it's okay, go up to those levels. But if you feel that you are Sotapanna and you are confident, that's okay. Otherwise, until you become Sotapanna, stick to loving kindness meditation and then proceed on to others if necessary. But with loving kindness meditation, which is the easiest one, you can go all the way. But there's nothing wrong with practicing Buddhanusati. If you can do it, that's really great.
Okay, Bhante. Okay, thank you, Bhante. But I don't feel I have some doubts that I may be Sotapanna, but with regard to the with regard
it's
to
possible that you could be Sotapanna. You are a good monk. You live the right way. You try hard. You learn Dhamma. In fact, you have been trained in Thailand. It's quite possible that you could be Sotapanna already. But only you will know. No one else can tell. You will feel confident. You will feel happy about it. You will have no doubt whatsoever that you have dukkha jnana, dukkha samudaya jnana, dukkha nirodha jnana, and dukkha nirodhagamini patipada jnana. You will know that you have those 4, and you will know that you have eradicated sakkaya ditthi vicikicca silabhata paramasa forever, and you will know that you have understood the Noble Eightfold Path. And if you have come to that stage, obviously you are Sotapanna. It's possible.
no, but I think I'm just on the way, but and then. But one thing happened, Bhante, when I was in Thailand. One time what happened is after meditating, there was a heavy load or heavy weight that I felt brought down from my life, for example. I think so, Bhante. So after that, I feel really happy, even in the normal life. I feel happy all the time, almost all the time. But before that, that heavy weight was, I felt that the load came down actually. from the mind
Yes.
or
You
from
see,
a
as you
body.
go through the path, you'll be eradicating Raga Desha Moha gradually. And Raga Desha Moha is a fire burning within ourselves. That is a load that we are carrying. You know, as you eradicate it more and more, you feel lighter and happier and so on. So that's what you have experienced there.
Yes, Bhante. So whatever happens in my life, I feel very relaxed and happy. Not much, not much to agitate or something like that. So I feel relaxed or feel happy. So that happened.
Oh,
But
that's
I
very
don't
good.
think
You are either Sotapanna or you are very close to become Sotapanna.
yes,
You have
maybe close.
eradicated a lot of Raga Desha Moha. Surely, if you are not Sotapanna yet, you will become Sotapanna very soon. You are in the correct path. Keep practicing the path and you will get there very soon.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante. Many thanks, Bhante. Yes, Bhante. That's all, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Any other questions, anyone? We got another half an hour to go.
Bhanteji, I have another question.
Yes.
So, with regards to the technique and the Dhamma teachings
Yes.
of cultivating metta and, the 4 Brahma Viharas and getting rid of the Raga Desa Moha,
Yes.
I'm pretty convinced. Whichever way, means like 100, 200% convinced. But I'm not so sure about what happens after death or, the realms concept of it, Bhanteji. So is it okay to, but I fully understand the importance of compassion and all the things that we need to cultivate.
Yes.
Is it okay to just focus that as objective, that I'm just going to cultivate these 4 wholesome qualities and trying to get rid of the unwholesome qualities, 3 unwholesome qualities, and just leave it at that and, aim for that to begin with?
Yes, that's exactly what you have to do. You keep practicing, keep practicing loving kindness meditation, then you will develop your wholesome qualities, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. At the same time, you'll be gradually eradicating Raga, Dvesha, Moha. So when you are developing your Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka qualities, you are developing your wisdom, right? Which will help you to comprehend Dhamma. At the same time, you are reducing your Raga Desha Moha quality, which means you are weakening your Vijnana, which is the obstacle to understanding Dhamma. So in both ways, you are tackling the problem, and that's the correct way to do. So carry on doing that, keep on doing that. And eventually, you will get the necessary wisdom to comprehend the 4 noble truths, get the 4 Buddha Jnanas, eradicate the 3 bonds, and attain Sammaditya and become Sotapanna. The path is correct. Yes.
And Bhanteji, once we attain that state of Sotapanna, we will know?
You will know that you will be very confident, you see. You will know that you have fully understood what is suffering, right? Suffering in these 31 planes, you will have a very good idea, and you don't want to go there at any cost, right? You know the reason for suffering. You have understood the reason for suffering is Raga Dvesha Moha, and how you do it. You create Raga Dvesha Moha by taking Rupa Vedana Asanya and doing Sankara. You do Sankara to enjoy Aswada. You understand that Aswada has a big downfall because it's subject to a universal theory called Anicca Dukkha Anatta. So if you keep practicing Sankara in order to enjoy Aswada, that means you are accumulating unwholesome qualities and sins. And so if you carry on doing that, by the time you die, you have a huge amount of unwholesome qualities and a huge amount of sins, and which will help you to go to one of the 4 hells. And you have understood that, and you have taken a complete U-turn. You have decided, right, I am not going to do it. If I touch this, if I go down this way, it's going to burn. It's like if you know that if you touch the candlelight, it's going to burn your hand, you won't touch it, isn't it? So similarly, you know the road that I'm going now will end up in the four hells. I'm going to take a U-turn, you will take a U-turn there. Instead of doing sankhara, you will start doing visankhara. You will try your best to do visankhara. Sankhara is cultivating unwholesome thoughts. Visankhara is cultivating wholesome thoughts. So you will do everything possible. You will spend these 2 hours, maybe even more, and try and learn this and learn to practice more and more visankhara and less sankhara. And it will come to a stage where you will be practicing visankhara more than sankhara. And that is the point where you will become sotapanna. Your wisdom will be stronger than your what they call foolishness, the vijnana. Your prakya, which is wisdom, will be stronger than the vijnana, what they call foolishness. So that's what you want to attain. Once you come to that point, you will know, you will have a good understanding of the 4 things: suffering, reason for suffering, out of suffering, and the way out of suffering. So those are the 4 Buddha jnanas. You will know everything about suffering. You will know everything about the reason for suffering, which is doing sankhara and strengthening the raga, desha, moha quality in one way, and also accumulating sins. Then you know the way. If you want to stop suffering, you have to stop the reason for suffering. The reason for suffering is this doing sankhara in order to enjoy aswada. And when you enjoy aswada, you are automatically earning sins and earning unwholesome qualities. You know that. So you know, if you, according to cause and effect theory, if you want to stop the effect, you have to stop the cause. So if you want to stop suffering, you have to stop the reason for suffering, which is doing sankhara. So you will stop doing sankhara and you will start doing visankhara. Then the 4th step, next thing that will you know, the way out of suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. So the first one you will attain once you become Sotapanna, once you learn to do more visankhara and less sankhara. In other words, more than 50% of the time, if you can cultivate wholesome thoughts, and less than 50% of the time, unwholesome thoughts. In other words, reduce your unwholesome thoughts below 50%, then you will attain samadhi and sotapanna, right? And once you come to that level, once you attain samadhi, at the same time, you will know the rest that you have to do is samma sankappa, samma vacha, samma kamma, samma ajiva, samma vayama, samma sati, samma samadhi. Once you got the 4 knowledges, 4 Buddha jnanas, 4 wisdoms, dukkha jnanam, dukkha samudaya jnanam, dukkha nirodha jnanam, dukkha nirodhagamini, patipada jnanam, you will get a clear vision of all these things, how they follow step by step, and how this puzzle fits in, how each step is related to the one before and the one next. It's like pieces of a puzzle, right? All these steps are like pieces of a puzzle. And once you have developed your wisdom greater than the vijnana, then you will understand the different pieces of this puzzle, how they fit into each other, what is their relationship with the one before that and one after that. Are you with me? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, it does.
So don't worry too much, take it easy and practice the path. Just practice 2 hours. Don't take it too seriously, take it slow and steady. Just practice the 2 hours at your leisure and enjoy it. And without even knowing, you will get there. Learn to enjoy it. That's the important thing.
So, Bhante, intellectually, it is easy to understand um, the Four Noble Truths in terms of that suffering exists, and I mean, nothing, whatever we're doing as of now with regards to, say, professional thing, nothing is going to give us the satisfactoriness, right? Every day something new happens, and again the same old thing, right? Where you get into conflict and all those kind of things, but still mind is not convinced to live everything, you know,
No, we
materialistic.
can't live everything straight away. For example, now let's say in your case, you and your husband have professional jobs. You can't just leave everything and walk out, take Chanuk out of the school and go to a farm. You can't do that, right? What you have to do is gradually come out of that system that's harming you. But you need a living. You need, to put it very simply, you need money to live, right? But you can cut down your expenses. For example, you can say, once you become Sotapanna, you can say, okay, 2 years we are going to work hard to save money in order to practice this path. So 2 years you work hard and save as much as you can, cut down your expenses, and then you can move into a remote area in California. There are farms, farmhouses you can buy next to nothing. Do you know that? There are nice farmhouses with houses you can buy for 10,000 pounds, abandoned farms. You can buy something like that and develop. You will enjoy doing it. But, one person, there are other things you can do on the internet to earn an income. Obviously, you have some savings to fall back on. You don't live in a big house. You don't drive a big car. You don't live in the expensive society in New York. You see, when you live in New York, when you're doing a professional job, there's a certain level of a standard that you have to maintain. For example, you have to dress well when you go to work, right? And that costs money. And every year, let's say, when I was working in London, I had to buy 4 suits every year. And that cost me 400 pounds those days. Then the shirts and the shoes and cars, you can use the same car. You can't use the same car for 2 or 3 years. People ask, are you still having the same car? Oh, I bought a new car. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You see, you have to come out of that trend, come out of that rat race. Because by nature, we are not supposed to live lives like that. That will only make us unhappy and unhealthy. So you gradually come out of it. You see, you have to have a plan, and you save as much as you can within 2 or 3 years. And then you come out of this system and you get into live with the nature. And you will be happier, believe me. You may be earning less money, you'll be saving less, but you can always earn a living out of a small farm, then you'll be eating, natural, organic food. It will be healthier for you. Healthier lifestyle, healthier food, everything will be healthier. You'll have a healthier mind, a healthier body, long life, and you will have more time to spend on practicing the path, spending time with people that you like, spend time with doing the things that you like to do, and so on. Because living in a place like London or New York, running the rat race, at the end of the day, what have you achieved? You may have few bob in the bank, but what is it going to do to you if you are sick, mentally and physically? Money is no use if you are sick. Now Bill Gates is sick, mentally and physically. What's his money going to do to him? Michael Jackson was sick. He couldn't even sleep. His sitting at home income was $65 million a year. But he couldn't sleep in the night because he was so disturbed mentally. And also physically, he had all kinds of problems. So he had an anesthetist at home. You know the story. Anesthetist had to give him anesthesia in the night for him to relax, go to sleep, and bring him back in the morning. So one morning he couldn't bring him back because anesthesia in Western medicine is not something that should be used that way. It's not for sleeping every day, You cannot use anesthesia every day. So that's what happens if people go mad with money. But at the same time, I know there are some rich people who use money for very good cause. You see, Lord Buddha said, it's like money is like a kitchen knife. You see, kitchen knife, if you hold it if you use it for the right purpose, it will be very useful and very good. But if you use it for the wrong purpose, it will put you in trouble, isn't it? Money is like that. You can use it for either good cause or bad cause. So you don't need a lot of money to live. As long as you have the basic necessities, that's all you need to be happy. And earning the basic necessities in a small farm is not difficult at all. You will see that once you get to Sotapanna stage, you'll be thinking of the lifestyle that you are living. Is it really worth it?
Thank you, Bhante.
Any other questions, anyone?
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So with the 2 hours in the morning, after we've asked for forgiveness and asked for blessing to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and also the 31 planes, like 31 beings, in the 31 planes.
Adhika, before you go any further,
Yeah.
I suggest that before you start practicing that path, you just listen to the Dhamma first, right?
Okay.
Listen to the few sermons that I am going to deliver for the next few weeks, then start practicing on the path. So for the time being, just practice loving kindness meditation in the morning for half an hour or 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever the time that you can. Before you do other things, you have to understand why you do those things. And you will understand why you do those things after listening to the Dhamma sermons. So for the time being, now you know what loving kindness meditation is.
Yes.
We practice it before we start. You just practice that for the 2 hours. If you can spend 2 hours, just practice that. That will only do good to you, right?
Okay. Okay. I was going to ask you about transferring merits. Well, how do you do that? But okay.
Don't worry about it. Listen to the Dhamma first, then you can learn all that. For the time being, just practice loving kindness meditation, and it will gradually improve your wisdom, right?
Okay.
You see, wisdom is a thing that you need to understand the truth about this universe, what we call Dhamma, right? Intelligence and wisdom are two different things. You see, intelligent people can get 10 PhDs, but it doesn't mean that they have one drop of wisdom.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to ask a question on how to do loving kindness meditation.
You see, that's what we did at the beginning before we started the Dhamma discussion. Remember, we practice meditation. May all living beings and myself be healthy. May all living beings and myself be happy. May all living beings and myself be free from worries. Were you there when we were practicing that?
I missed it today, Bhante.
All right. Okay. You can learn it next time, or perhaps Vinay will teach you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Are you in India or in USA?
I'm here in USA. So you just repeat those things for
Which part of USA?
I'm calling from Michigan, Bhante.
Michigan. Okay. So you can speak to Vinay. I'm sure she'll be kind enough to explain it to you how to do it.
Okay. So Bhante ji, her question is, shall we just repetitively keep saying that for 1 hour?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Kranti, Bhante ji is saying yes, we just continuously keep, saying that may all livings be happy, all those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. We still got 12 minutes. I need 5 minutes for transferring of merits and offering. of blessings. So we still got time for one more question.
If nobody has questions, may I ask a question, Bhante?
Yes, please, Nagsen, go ahead.
Yeah, does karma really matters? I mean, in case of Angulimal, he has done the highest form of sin and he achieved the Sotapanna and Arahata. So is it really matters, Bhante?
It does matter. You see, he eradicated them by practicing this meditation that Lord Buddha gave, asking for forgiveness, transferring merits, and wishing them Nibbana. You see, karma means, let's say you have done some karma, you have done some bad things to some people in previous lives, and they suffered as a result of it. So in order to make this wrong right, you see, you have to pay them compensation. The only way to pay compensation is by transferring merits. That's the technique that Lord Buddha explained to Angulimala. It's a very good question. Some people misunderstand that. If Angulimala manages to become Arahat, killing 1,000 people, I can kill 500 and still become Arahat. People could think that way. But the point there is, you see, if you have accumulated sins, you have to eradicate them first in order to, develop your wisdom and understand Dhamma. And that is the technique that Lord Buddha explained to Angulimala. And he practiced that 18 hours a day. And through that practice only, he managed to eradicate all that bad karma he accumulated by killing 1,000 people in that life. And we don't know how many thousands they have killed in previous lives. See, we don't know how many thousands we have killed in previous lives, you see. In every life, if we have killed one mosquito, we may have killed 1 trillion mosquitoes.
Agree, Bhante, agree. Thank you.
See, that's why it's important to ask for forgiveness, transfer merits, and offer blessings. We all have committed sins, you see. We all have, maybe, even if we haven't murdered people, we may have killed many, many animals. It's difficult to find someone who has never killed a mosquito or a cockroach or a rat or some animal like that in a life.
Yeah, I mean, before we forgive others, we have to forgive ourselves as well.
See, that's why we are asking for forgiveness from others, isn't it? When we ask forgiveness from others, they have to forgive us. You see, we have done something wrong to the others. When they give us forgiveness, we lose that guilty feeling that we have.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, we got only 8 minutes left. So let's transfer merits and offer blessings to the entire world. Now today, by discussing Dhamma and listening to Dhamma, we have completed 10 meritorious deeds. Dana, Sila, Bhavana, transferring of merits, receiving of merits, what we are going to do now, listening to Dhamma and discussing Dhamma and paying our homage to the Noble Triple Gem Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, respecting the adults by transferring merits to them and by practicing Sammaditthi, because during this time period, most of us, most of the time, we have kept our mind full of wholesome thoughts and no unwholesome thoughts. So by and large, we have completed 10 meritorious deeds and accumulated a lot of merits today. And also throughout our samsara, we have accumulated a huge amount of merits. So this mountain of merits that we have accumulated up to now, let's transfer them to all the living beings living on the 31 planes, in the 20 Brahma Loka, 6 Divya Loka, Manusha Loka, and the 4 hells. May they all receive these merits. And with the power of these merits, may they all be happy, be healthy, be free from worries, free from suffering, comprehend the 4 noble truths, and finally attain permanent happiness in Nibbana. In order to make those wishes, let's recite this Gatha. If you know the Gatha, you can recite with me. Otherwise, you can say sadhu at the end of it. Etavata cheyamehi sambadam punya sampadang Sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya ettavata chayammehi sambadam punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya ettavata chayammehi sambadam punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Next, we will transfer all these merits to our dead relatives. Firstly, I think of Bodhisattva Dr. B.R. Ambedkar because of that great, great, great man. We are all here today. So let's think of Bodhisattva Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and all the other relatives that we can think of, especially those who became parents to us for billions and trillions of lives, all our friends, relations, enemies, and so on. All the dead people that we have come across in our lives, wherever they are, may they all receive these merits. And with the power of these merits, may they all be happy, be healthy, be free from worries, free from suffering, comprehend the Four Noble Truths, and finally attain permanent happiness in Nibbana. In order to make those wishes, I'm going to recite this Gatha, and if you know the Gatha, you can recite it with me. Otherwise, you can say sadhu 3 times at the end of it. Idam me jnatinang hotu sukhita hontu natayo. Idam me jnatinang hotu sukhita hontu natayo. Idang vo jnatinang hotu sukhita hontu natayo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Next, with the power of all these merits, may all of us and all our family members be happy, be healthy, be free from worries, free from suffering, comprehend the Four Noble Truths, and finally attain permanent happiness in Nibbana. In order to make those wishes, I'm going to recite this Gatha. And if you know the Gatha, you can recite it with me. Otherwise, you can say sadhu 3 times at the end of it. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana patya idame punya kaman asavakkaya vahan hotu sabba dukkha pamuchyatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Finally, in order to ask for forgiveness from the Noble Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, I'm going to recite this Gatha. If you know the Gatha, you can recite it with me. Otherwise, at the end of it, you can say sadhu 3 times. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achyang kamame bhante buripanya tathagata. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achyang kamame dhamma samditthika akalika. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achyang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to give you the blessings of the Mahasangha. Abhivadana silisa nichang vadda pachayino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukambalang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sutti bhavantu te. May all of you be happy, be healthy, be free from worries, free from suffering, comprehend the Four Noble Truths, and finally attain permanent happiness in Nibbana. May the Noble Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha bless you all. Thank you very much. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Lanka. See you next week.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Have a good weekend.
Thank you so much, Bhante ji.
Vandami Bhante.